You are here in Malaysia, man. Yeah. Actually, can you get him another mic? That'd be great. I'll show you all one more. So. But yeah, how happy are you guys to see Daniel Bryan here in Malaysia? There you go. So here we are, greeted with the yes chant. How does that feel still in a different part of the world, man?
Yeah, it's super cool because it's really strange, like that I kind of started that, and you guys are doing it here in Malaysia, and I'm literally from halfway around the world, and it's it's really cool.
All right, now you've been here only for a couple of hours. We had a chat earlier this morning. I'm sure they'd love to know, you are about to try Malaysian food. Are you still sticking with that?
Yes.
What about fruits?
Yeah, after this, I'm gonna go. Not after this. We have like a dinner tonight that I'm going to, but after that, it's durian. Yeah. I'm gonna go try some durian. Yeah. So if you see the enormous bald man right there, Wayne, he's from Australia and refuses to try durian. Boo! He said the smell is too bad, but.
All right, you're here to talk a bit about the WWE Network. Do you want to just tell us, I mean, for those that don't know what it's about and what's offered on that channel, on that network?
Yeah, so it used to be the WWE, what we do is we do our TV, and then we build to these pay-per-views that would happen every month. And the pay-per-views, at least in the United States, would cost anywhere from $40 to $55, depending on what you got. Well, then the WWE started the network and offered these pay-per-views on there for, in the United States, $9.99 per month. So now, though that content, these pay-per-views that used to be very expensive, and those are the things that our TV builds to, those are all available on the network. Also available on the network, and this is the thing that I really love. I'm like a wrestling fan, like I love like old wrestling. They have all the past WWE pay-per-views, all the past WCW pay-per-views, ECW pay-per-views. They're adding stuff all the time from different wrestling places from around the world. It's a super cool service if you like wrestling.
Okay, now everyone's going to ask you this. I'm sure individually they want to approach you, but what are your plans for the future now? We want to know what's happening with Daniel Bryan.
Well, in theory, I'd like to be cleared to wrestle here soon, and my goal would be to wrestle in the Royal Rumble, but I don't know if that's going I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So I'm trying, I'm really crossing my fingers and hope that I'll be able to do that.
Okay, what do you see happening with the WWE next year? I mean, it's been just huge years, title changes. Sheamus now. I mean, what's your take for the future after Rumble? Maybe looking a bit into WrestleMania. I don't want to ask you too much of that, but be a bit.
Yeah, it's interesting because this year's WrestleMania is going to be held in Dallas. It's the biggest stadium we've ever ran a WrestleMania in. It has the potential to break the record, and I think there's a chance that there could be 100,000 people there. So if that happens, I mean that would just be awesome. And so yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I think a lot of people are looking forward to that, to see how WrestleMania is going to do in Dallas.
Excellent. Okay, well, I don't want to hold them back from asking you questions. Everybody had a lot of things they wanted to ask you. This time, it's pretty cool, because you're here, and you're going to reward them for asking questions.
Wow. Okay.
We got a bunch of your merchandise.
Yeah, excellent.
And we're already opening up the floor, so these guys, do we want to go, who's going to ask first? Okay, bro. Can we get an intro where you're from, and your question, please?
Hey Daniel, I'm Dinesh. I'm from Kuala Lumpur. I'm representing Peminat Gusti Malaysia, or in English it's called Malaysian Wrestling Club. We have a huge following of WWE and wrestling in general here in Malaysia. And my question is that since we are already having WWE Network here in Malaysia, and we are kind of fans of NXT as well. So since most of us have been following you since before you joined WWE, and looking at how far you have come, and what's your take on those guys who are coming from the similar background like yours from the Indies, and then joining NXT, coming to the main roster, somebody like Kevin Owens, Neville, Finn Balor in the future? What's your take on that? Because probably you are one of the most successful guys out there right now.
So my take on it is so one of the things that has geared me to be successful in WWE is that I had all these years of experience before I got there. So then when I got like even little opportunities, I was able to take advantage of it. That's why I think like that's kind of the evolution of how this is going to go, because Raw is 3 hours long, right? And so there's all this content that needs to be filled, and who's best at filling it? It's the guys who have had experience all over the world. And I think you see that, and you see that in guys like Kevin Owens, you see that in guys like Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, when everybody else was, like when people were gone, he was literally probably filling 45 minutes of TV every week and was just incredible at it. Same thing with Dean Ambrose and those kind of people. You watch Neville wrestle and he wrestles differently than everybody else on the roster. So I think years of experience on the independents just gives you more versatility when you come up to the WWE.
Sweet. Okay, that was a good question. Should we do one more question?
Absolutely.
All right. Here you go, man.
Oh!
I'm never going to forget that. Thank you, Sarah, for making I apologize.
One of the funnest parts about wrestling is cheering and booing.
Yeah. Except when you're at the butt of it. And then you're on the receiving end. That sucks.
I've been booed many times.
Okay. Next question, please. Okay, Arvind, go for it.
Hey Daniel, my name is Arvind. I had the pleasure of watching you win at WrestleMania 30, so I was in attendance, so it was around as well. We've got a couple more people here as well. I guess I've just had one burning question throughout your career, and I've always wanted to know. The night that Nexus invaded Raw, I still remember a very trimmed up Daniel Bryan without the beard shouting at John Cena that you're not better than us. That whole scenario, what was your take on that actual angle and how did it transpire after that? That's been my burning question to you.
So that was fascinating because for a lot of you who aren't familiar with it, what had happened was they created this show called NXT. If you watch NXT now, it's like a whole company and it's awesome, right? They produce this awesome hour of television with these people who have come up through the developmental system and some of the international stars like Samoa Joe and Finn Balor, and they're just creating this awesome product, right? But when I was on NXT, it wasn't that. It was like this reality show where they had us do these like stupid contests, right? Where we were like, I had to climb monkey bars, and I had to like, one of the contests was how fast we could drink a soda, right? I don't drink carbonated beverages, so it took me a full minute to drink a cup of soda. Now imagine watching that on live television. Me, with no beard, I don't look like this at all, I just look like a random human being, and I'm just drinking a soda. And I have to stop every couple gulps because it's burning down my throat, right? It was just rotten. And so we also had to change in these areas that weren't really dressing rooms. And so like, we had to change in this area where the production people, the people who were setting up the building, they were eating there. So here we are getting into our spandex underwear next to these people, men and women, who are just eating. Right? And like, so we're holding up towels for each other and all that kind of stuff. And so we don't get to change with the actual people. All of that said, NXT happened, we were treated like jokes kind of by the company from the time we got in. And rightfully so, we were all very mad. And they actually turned that into a story where all of us attacked the top star of the company, John Cena. We ripped up the ring. I spit in his face, told him he wasn't better than me, and then I choked the ring announcer Justin Roberts with a tie, and 4 days later I was legitimately fired. So I thought the actual attack was awesome, but the consequences of me getting fired were not that awesome. So I have mixed emotions about the whole thing.
Thanks.
Sweet. Okay, what should we choose here from the table? We've got one of your little dolls there. Or
A little doll?
well, it's like a little. It's a vinyl. Yeah,
I feel like dolls. Yeah, I feel like dolls.
Look, he's one of my heroes too. All right. Well, I'm going to get booed again. I will never forget this, so I'm going to give that to you and end this conversation immediately. Next question, please. Thanks, Rob.
Any media?
Okay, then we'll.
Hey Daniel, I was there at WrestleMania this year when you inducted Connor into the Warrior Award thing, and it was really emotional. Just want to take your take on it. How difficult was it preparing for it and actually going out, and because you saw it was really emotional for you, the whole speech.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I inducted Conor McCulloch into the WWE Hall of Fame. We presented him with what's called the Warrior Award. And Conor was a young little boy who had brain cancer, inoperable brain cancer, who I got to know decently well. And he got to see me main event WrestleMania 30, and then about 2.5 weeks later he had passed away. It was that, when I inducted him, they had me induct him, and it was really hard because there were 3 people involved in that induction. One was me, one was Dana Warrior, the Ultimate Warrior's wife, and one was Steve, Conor's dad. Now, the timing of all of this was really strange because WrestleMania 30 that I main evented was on a Sunday. That Tuesday, the Saturday before, Ultimate Warrior went into the WWE Hall of Fame. That Tuesday, he passed away. That Friday, I got married. That Sunday, we left for our honeymoon. I came back. On the following Monday, my dad passed away. And then the following Wednesday, Conor passed away. So you have the 3 of us who, WrestleMania 30 meant a lot to all 3 of us because the Ultimate Warrior had been away from WWE for a long time, and he was finally coming back and being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that meant a lot to him and his wife. WrestleMania 30 obviously meant a lot to me. WrestleMania 30 also meant a lot to Conor and his dad because they got to spend that together, and everybody didn't think Conor was going to make it to WrestleMania 30. But then we all lost significant loved ones around that same time. So it was the 3 of us trying to prepare this thing to honor Conor when it was very hard emotionally for all 3 of us. Dana was having to present this award in honor of her husband who had just passed away. I was having to present this award to a child who had passed away, with all of this reminding me of the experiences of my father passing away. And then Steve had the very unenviable task of having to go up and talk about his son who had passed away. And it's really amazing to me, actually, when you think about this and the bond that the 3 of us created through this thing. Steve did amazing. If you watch Conor's dad, if you talk about like my speech being emotional, you need to go, and it's actually, this is not a plug, but it's on the network and you should watch it if you're interested in this kind of thing, is Steve's dad, Steve talking about his son. Because here is a man who is not a public speaker, speaking to 10,000 people about his son who had passed away. And the way that he got through it was just amazing. And at the end, it was just heartbreaking because Conor has a little brother, and his little brother comes out, and it kind of makes me well up now, and he just says, "I love you, Conor." And it was just the perfect ending. So, yeah, that was one of my favorite moments of my entire career.
Thanks for sharing that, man. You get one of these, Bob. Keep your head up, okay? Thank you. And members of the media, do you guys have any questions, please? Or we're going to go back to the PGM guys. Yes.
Hello, Daniel. I'm Haikal from Cosmo. I have a very simple question. Personally, what do you think of the wrestling industry compared to long time before when it was WWE?
So it's interesting because wrestling has evolved. So now if you look at the evolution of wrestling, it started off as a legitimate contest between 2 wrestlers, and then it evolved into mostly sport but some entertainment, and now it's evolved into more entertainment and less sport. And I think that there's a balance to be found. And now we're a PG company. We appeal a lot to kids, which is different than even like 15 years ago when they were appealing to like 18 to 24-year-olds, you know, using a lot of the Attitude Era stuff, drinking beer, middle fingers, all that kind of thing. And so it's just an evolution, you know, and every industry has to evolve, and we're in the process of that evolution right now.
Thanks. Here you go. Got one of these books for you. Okay, just raise your hand. You got any questions? Thanks. Thanks to Belvin.
Hi Daniel, my name is Arlina. I have a pretty easy question for you, I guess. It's a question that I think all WWE fans here in Malaysia are wondering. Is it fair to say that we can expect a WWE tour anytime soon?
Yes. I'm going to defer to John. John doesn't know, so yeah, I don't know. So we came last year, and so I'd like to think if the shows did well that we'd come again. But I don't know. I know that there's so many places that are demanding WWE right now that sometimes it's hard to get back to these places every year. Like, to me, it would be awesome if we could come. They said the shows that we just announced in India sold out like that, right? And so if these places that we're coming to, and Malaysia did very well last year, if these places that we're coming to are selling out so much, I'd like to come back more, right? Because the areas where you come and they only get to see you once a year, people get very excited about it. So hopefully we'll come back soon. Great, thank you.
All right. Do we have any members of the media? Any questions? Here you go. Thank you. PGM guys? Okay.
Hi Daniel. Okay, I got a question. Okay, I'm wondering this for a long time. Most of you guys debut with submission finishing move, and then it ended up with striking, like you Sembang. So what is actually in between that?
The transition from submission moves to using more of your martial arts and striking.
Yeah.
Striking finisher. Yeah, using striking finisher. From moving something to a submission finisher. Like, I suppose developing his craft, right? Yeah, he seems like, I think what he's asking is how you got more involved with martial arts, how do you develop your game?
Oh, okay, so I see, to me, professional wrestling is an extension of martial arts. What it is it's, so if you watch martial arts on the movies, right, and you see, it's strange because people acknowledge it as martial arts, but they also acknowledge that most of that wouldn't work in a real fight, right? So to me, pro wrestling has always been martial arts, and I've always studied jiu-jitsu and grappling and kickboxing and that sort of thing, partly because I love it, because, so to me, if you watch dogs play, right? If you were to watch two dogs play, how they play is they fight, but they fight without trying to hurt each other unless they get really mad. But they're on their backs and they're kicking and they bite at each other's necks and all that kind of stuff. To me, that's how I have fun playing, right? If I'm going to do something relaxing, I'm going to go do some jiu-jitsu or go do some kickboxing or something like that. Some people play video games. Different people like different things, right? And so, I've always seen that as pro wrestling. How do I use combat in an artistic form to create pro wrestling? And so for me, I'm always trying to evolve my style in ways that will incorporate the things that I've learned, but also incorporate things that are different than what everybody else is doing.
We hear that UFC stars are impressed with your jiu-jitsu now?
I don't know if anybody's impressed.
Any other questions, please? Oh, okay.
Hello Daniel, I'm Hafiz. Actually, I'm the founder of the Malaysian Wrestling Club. It's a pleasure to meet you today because we dreamed about it so many days ago. Okay, I just want to ask you a very simple question. It's about the perspective of wrestling in the eyes of other people who are not fan of wrestling. What is your response when people say that wrestling is fake? That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, so when people ask me, or they say, usually people ask me, isn't that fake? And I say, yes, it is fake. And this is why I say that, is because when you tell them it's fake, then they say, wait a second, but what about this? Well, yeah, no, that's completely fake. Wait, no, it wasn't, because I saw that happen. I saw him actually hit him with this, and people get hurt all the time, but nope, none of us get hurt. We never get hurt. Wait, no, you guys get hurt. No, we don't, it's all fake. It's just all just fake. Don't even worry about it. What we do is just a little fake thing that we do. Grown men in their underpants out there doing their little fake fighting. That's it. And essentially, to me, usually what they're trying to do, and especially when they're talking to somebody like me who is a wrestler, they're trying to kind of put you down. Isn't that the fake stuff or whatever? As if it's downplaying what you do. But realistically, it doesn't bother me if somebody's trying to do that because they're just not a fan of wrestling, right? And what people who aren't fans of wrestling think about wrestling, most of us really shouldn't care about if you're involved in wrestling because they're not going to be fans of you anyways, right? And so I just try to have fun with it and try to get them to see a little bit of like, in their minds they know that we do get hurt and that it is dangerous what we do. And that's one of the many reasons that we tell people not to try this at home. But if you try to argue with them, it's an argument you're not going to win. So I just agree with them.
But it's still real to us.
We got time for about 2 more questions, so yeah. All right, great.
Hey Daniel, nice to meet you again. Anyway, I was wondering, there's something special about wrestling that draws crowds by the thousands. So I was wondering, what makes it special to watch it live as compared to watching it on TV? Perhaps someone like me who has yet to watch it live. Like, what makes it interesting?
To me, it's the energy. So, I still watch wrestling on TV because I like wrestling. But to me, the thing that really gets me passionate about it is being there live because there's an emotion involved to it. There is a feeling of unison with the crowd and this energy that you feel when you're there that you don't get to feel. You can't feel it through the television. All those cheers that you hear on TV. So if you're watching Friends, I don't know if Friends was a big show in Malaysia. And they say a joke, right? And it's like, oh, so-and-so, and then you hear this laugh track. Ah, and you don't really think that it's funny. And probably nobody else thought it was funny. They just put a laugh track in there to make you think that it could have been funny, right? When you watch WWE, that's not what it is. When those people are cheering, right? These are thousands of people who know that, like what you said, what we do is fake, or what we like to say is entertainment, reacting to this as if it's real, right? And they're cheering and they're booing, and they have somebody that they definitely want to win. And there's an emotion in that. It's like going to your favorite sport, whatever that happens to be, and you're watching your team, and your team is losing, and then now they're starting to make a comeback and they're starting to win. And that happens with WWE every single night. And then there's this emotion with you see kids, you see old people. When I go out and I do the yes chant, there's literally thousands of people standing up in unison doing this, and it looks cool on TV, right? It does. It looks cool on TV. Being out there and experiencing it, it's almost like this out-of-body experience where I'm looking down on it and being like, this is the most incredible thing. And it's hard to explain. My sister doesn't like wrestling. She doesn't watch it. She loves going to the shows with my little nieces because there's an energy to it and there's a fun to it. And there's something cathartic about cheering good guys and booing bad guys. And yeah, as a live show, I've been to big stadium rock concerts and all that kind of stuff. And to me, live wrestling is still my favorite thing, despite having been to thousands of shows.
Excellent. Okay, final question. Media, PGM, you guys? Okay, you can go back for a second one.
Hi again, Daniel. We've seen a lot of WWE stars like John Cena, Batista, try to make it in the movie. So maybe we can expect that from you in the future. Maybe.
I don't think so.
Vikings.
I don't think that's going to happen, and here's why. Those guys have aspirations to do that sort of thing. Like they have aspirations to be in the movies. Same thing with The Rock and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't watch many movies. I don't really have an interest in movies. I don't think I'm a particularly good actor. So all of that to say, if somebody asks me, hey, we'd like you to put you in this movie, I'll be like, oh, okay. But nobody's knocking down my door with my beard looking like this and looking all wild, and yeah, I just don't think it's gonna happen.
Have you been offered before?
No, they've never once. You know, it's funny, they do a million of these WWE movies, the WWE films, and they get all sorts of people to star in these movies. Never once. And I've been off for I wrestled for 3 months earlier this year. I had neck surgery last year. I've been out with a concussion this year. I'm perfect because I'm off, right? You would think they'd just be like, hey, we have this guy who's off. Let's have him in a movie or something. Nope. They're not even interested. So yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
On that, would there be any preference in the type of movie that you sort of debut in, if you had a choice?
I mean, if I could, obviously I'd be in a lead role like Brad Pitt in some sort of action hero, big leading man type role that all the ladies are fawning over me and stuff. But in my ideal world, that would happen, but I don't think so.
Curious to know the storyline of that movie, but thanks for asking the questions. Thank you for asking the questions, guys. And photo time, man.
Bree is like she and Bert are so
Why don't you be Bree? You can be Bree and today.
Passing to the tour. Photo scarring.
I'm not good.
Are they alright? Good, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.